I'm Darren Morton.
I'm Simon Matthews. This is Lift,
The Lifestyle Medicine podcast where we dive into the science of health and wellbeing. Hello, my good friend Simon. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you, Professor Morton. I am, it's been a lovely weekend, so I'm ready to crack into the week.
Are you? Good on you.
Yeah.
It is the beginning of how's this? It's the beginning of the week here too, on the other side of the planet. Fancy that.
You've already knocked out a few hours of Monday though. Yeah.
We have. Can I tell you though what I'm doing for the latter part of this week?
Yeah.
So my youngest son, Caleb, is embarking upon an adventure. We lost someone dear to us from cancer just a couple of months ago. And so he said, how do I use my signature strengths for good and contribute in some way? And so he's a good little runner, and well, not so little anymore. He's bigger than me, but he's a good runner. And he said, I actually just want to go and do a big adventure run, and as a bit of a fundraiser. So on Wednesday this week, just a couple of days' time, there's quite a well-known walk. Well, it's a hiking trail, but people run it as well, called the Great North Walk. And when you're in Australia, did you ever do any portions of the Great North Walk?
Just little portions around where we used to live. So where we lived on the East Coast, like just maybe 45 minutes from where you live, we were basically our street ran into the national park that part of the Great North Walk goes through. So we would walk little bits of it, from time to time, but we never tackled the entire Sydney to Newcastle catastrophe.
Well, I hope that is an inappropriate term to link to what we're about to experience. So it actually goes from Sydney to Newcastle. It's about 250 kilometres for our, what would that be?
160 miles.
160 miles, yes.
Yeah.
And so and it's through, well, it starts in the heart of Sydney. So there are sections which are quite, civilised, but then you get into the bush, and it's some very, very hectic sections of very steep climb. Like, I think there's sections where you might have to use your hands every now and then. And so he's planning to do it over 5 days. So he's got an ultra marathon every day, one day after the other. And the distressing little bit, and I can say this because this podcast won't go out until after he's done his attempt. But I looked at the weather, and it ain't good. It's like a lot of rain forecast.
Oh, really?
I think there's going to be some fairly low moments in this experience.
Okay.
And so anyway, we've lined up. We've got a bit of a support crew. I'm one of the support crews members, and I'll be driving along and where I can. There are sections where it goes a long way from the road, so you're sort of in no man's land. We've tried to line up some accompanying runners with him for those sections, and I'll be doing some of those sections with him as well. So it's all exciting. So in about a week's time, I'll tell you how things went. But what it made me think about is a study that we're actually just submitted, because one of our master's students here at Avondale University, Di Westerway, has just completed a really quite interesting project. And give you the backstory. So now you would have taught Di too, I'm thinking. You remember Di?
Many years ago, I think. And she's maybe less so outside of Australia, but she's a person of note within Australia.
Person of note. That is well said.
Yeah.
To give you just a little bit of, to add evidence to that. So Di, going back about 20 years ago or so now, she was very interested in helping women to be more active. She was very active herself, and was doing a bit of personal training, and then realised that, hey, she could have sort of a great impact on the women that she was dealing with. But what would it look like to do it on a grander scale. And so she created this thing. It was launched in 2009 called Coastrek. And essentially what she'd invite teams of women to do is to get together, train together, go walking outside in nature together. She's a great outdoor enthusiast. And then to do some capstone event, which was somewhere in the order of sort of 20 to 60 kilometres. So maybe you can do that conversion again for us. I'm thinking it's probably around about 12 to 40 miles or so. No, it'd be, probably about 12 to 40 miles.
Yeah, 12 to, near enough. That'll do.
Near enough.
Yeah.
So quite a significant adventure, and they would hike along the coast as a team. And then what she put into this was also to make it a fundraiser, as my son's doing as well, where they would raise money for a cause that they cared about. And it's been a remarkable success, and as it's grown from 2009, where it's an inception, to date, they've had over 100,000 women that have participated in Coastrek events. She's raised, or her organisation's raised, over $55 million for a variety of different charities, including the Heart Foundation and Beyond Blue, which focuses on mental health. And it's just an incredible thing. And so I think every year now they have, it's over 10,000. I think it's around 12,000, 14,000 women that are participating in this event. And it's not just the capstone event. It's also, the lead up to it, the training that's involved with it as well. And so much so, in recognition of her outstanding work, Di won an Order of Australia medal. So she's been inducted into that Hall of Fame, and is an amazing lady, just, full of beans and, wanting to make a difference in the world. And she's certainly doing that in a very significant way. So what we were interested in this particular project, we said, you've got a lot of ladies that are getting involved, and what is it that attracts them? I love that saying, success leaves clues. And so what is it that brings, women into this kind of an arena to participate in an event like that? So what do you reckon, Simon? What do you think might be some of the features of an initiative like that would be
something like that? I would. So there's three that immediately come to mind.
Yeah.
And in order of priority, I would say the top one is likely social connection.
Okay, that's good.
The second one is, essentially doing good in the community, doing something that makes a difference.
Yeah.
And the third one, might just be, the pleasure of being active outdoors or something like that.
Very good.
How am I doing? Have I passed?
You're doing good. You've actually ticked three of the big ticket items there.
So there's two more.
There are two more.
Two more.
Although maybe you've captured it in those three in some ways. In fact, probably the last comment that you made captures two of them.
Oh, so maybe being outdoors and being active are two separate factors.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm
actually,
happy for you to tell me the last one.
All right. I think you actually got all of them. And I think your last comment captured another two. So so the physical activity piece was actually very important, attractive to the ladies. Social connection. And I'd be really interested in your thoughts on, is that unique to this particular cohort? So we've got, it's focused on females here. Nature immersion. So there was an interest in being involved in nature. Adventure. And I think you sort of talked about doing something.
Okay.
So adventure was identified as a sort of a separate thing. And then that purpose, that doing it for a good reason. And so physical activity, social connection, nature immersion, adventure, and purpose. Not necessarily in those orders, in that order. And in fact, it was hard in some regards to tease out and in the study. So got a very good response rate. In fact, what she did is she targeted about 8,000 women. So invited 8,000 participants in the program that had been involved in the 2024 events, because she hosts these Coastrek events in various different locations around Australia. And she had over 700 responses to that. In fact, nearly 1,800 responses. So good response rate. And people were invited, the women were invited to tell us, respond to the question, why, what is it that draws you to this? She also asked questions about how it influenced their mental health metrics, if you like. And one of the big things that came up, people spoke a lot about just general mood improvements. So about 93% of the respondents said it improved their general mood. Energy levels was another key term that seemed to feature. So they talked a lot about increasing energy levels. In fact, about 87% referred to that. Resilience, which is, these are all the buzz terms and they're all good terms and things that we're looking for. And I think certainly when you have something that's challenging like that and really calls you out of your comfort zone, obviously that builds into that resilience piece. And then just, stress level reduction, anxiety reduction, depression reduction. Interestingly, that they were rated lower though than those other things like energy and levels and resilience. So it was about
like a subjective sense of energy.
Yeah, it was around about 50% of the respondents were saying that it was those sort of, depression, anxiety things that improvement.
So amazing outcomes. That something like that has all those benefits, and at the same time, for those of us who are involved in, either teaching or delivering lifestyle medicine, entirely unsurprising.
Yes. Yeah.
This is the very heart of lifestyle medicine, isn't it? To live in a way that that allows the person to, experience that sense of thriving in their own life. Thriving is a word that's used a great deal in the positive psychology literature. But engaging in a collection of activities, and here we've got the pillars. We've got obvious pillars of exercise and social connection. It's possibly not unreasonable to surmise that that's also backed by nutrition. It's probably also backed by sleep. So although we're not seeing that data directly, it's not unreasonable to suspect that the participants are engaging in those activities. They're also experiencing means of managing their stress. What I'm just going to call now the unofficial seventh pillar of lifestyle medicine is there as well. So it's a wonderful example, isn't it, of both the output of lifestyle medicine thinking and approaches, but also the internal change that people experience as well. Yeah.
It's interesting when we tried to get a handle of, or which of these 5 things is sort of the most important. It was a little bit hard. I couldn't see clear evidence that it's probably different for different people. But if you were to lean, one way, trying to read into the data, it was connecting with friends was certainly a very dominant theme that emerged and was highly rated. And the other one, very close to it, was actually being in nature, even more so than having a sense of purpose, doing something adventurous, being physically active. So that interests me, quite to a great extent. It didn't surprise me that the social connection piece really featured amongst this particular cohort.
Absolutely. In fact, I would be surprised if it wasn't first, because we know, and we've talked about this before, particularly with studies like the Harvard Health Study and so on. We know just how vital social connection is to our health and well-being.
Yeah. I'm interested, do you think if we conducted a similar study to this, but amongst a different cohort, for example, a male dominant cohort, do you think that the story might be a little bit different? So, for example, do you think that adventure might feature more? Do you think that social connection might feature less? What are your thoughts on that?
Lift is supported by the Lift Project, an educational adventure where you learn science-based ways to lift your mood and your life. The Lift Project is lifting lives around the globe, in healthcare settings, workplaces, schools, universities and communities. To find out more, visit theliftproject.global.
So I suspect, so a qualified yes is the answer off the top of my head. I suspect that you would find largely the same factors. I don't think if we went to a different cohort, we're going to identify or uncover any uniquely new factors that simply are not present at all for this cohort. And I suspect also that you might find that the ratio of those to each other, or ratios of those to each other, is different. So I'm making some at some level possibly. I'm making some assumptions here about what might be important, but maybe if you took a male cohort, you might find. You might find a little shift in sense of adventure and social connection. But maybe the social connection is experienced differently. Maybe, for example, the sense of adventure feels like it belongs more to me than to us. Maybe. But largely, I think you would find the same factors bearing on all of this. And I think one of the really important lessons in this, and again, we've talked about this before, and this is something that I become more and more convinced about the longer that I spend time working in and around lifestyle medicine, and that is that any sort of effort to prioritise pillars in lifestyle medicine, or the elements of lifestyle medicine, the pieces of pie, whatever you want to call them. Any sort of effort to do that is potentially misguided and misses the significance of a lifestyle medicine approach, which is the presence of all of these things and the integration of them all. How does our nutrition end up better? Well, partly, I guess, because we make some decisions about doing that differently, and also we know that environmental context makes a difference here. So if you live in a food desert versus an area that's very dense with fresh food options, your choices are different, and therefore what you do is going to be different. But apart from the individual choices that we make, all the other lifestyle medicine factors have a bearing on this. When you sleep better, you're more likely to make better choices about your food. If you engage in moderate to vigorous intensity activity, your body will want more food, or more nutritious food, I should say, to fuel itself. If you dine with friends and enjoy conversation around that, that may well influence your dietary choices as well. So I don't think we can ever get away from the I'm going to say the kind of combinatorial influence of the lifestyle medicine factors. And here's my political position: nor should we.
Yeah, I like that. I think that there definitely is a tendency to silo. And I think that part of it, this is one of my frustrations with nutrition research, is that, we're not content to know that blueberries are great for us. We want to know, what is it in the blueberries? What particular compound? And the truth is, it's not one thing. It's actually it's a myriad of things, and it's their how they work synchronously together. So yeah, I agree with that. So I like this whole idea of this multimodal approach, and what it made me almost think about when I was looking at this data is that these dynamics of like social connection, being active, outdoors with an adventurous element, doing it for a good reason. They, once again, to return to that theme of success leaves clues, we see them in other very successful initiatives as well, like one that we've spoken about in this podcast, the whole park run experience. This is where people come together in a community setting. They're doing some physical activity outdoors. And in the context of parkrun, it's a free event because everyone volunteers to help out and contribute to the initiative. So there's almost that ownership, feeling like you're giving back, and it's quite fascinating. I mean, I'm actually a run director for our local park run. I was the run director on the last weekend, and it's interesting to see you get emails from. I had emails from people who are outside the area saying, "Oh, I'm going to be visiting. I'd love and come to and volunteer at your event."
Wow.
And so it's a really interesting dynamic, and it speaks, I think, once again to that people want to give back. They want to. Yeah. That's a major motivator for many people. Yeah. And I think it's part of the secret sauce, if you like, for why these sorts of things are so successful.
Yeah, absolutely. People want to belong. They want to give back.
Yeah.
They want to live well.
Yes.
All of these things are kind of fundamental to people, and when we can leverage those underlying values and principles and find ways in communities to make it easy for people to do that, or easier for people to do that. And this is coming back to the idea of nudging behaviours, of course. Then a whole bunch of things happen with minimal effort. And park run and for that matter, DIE's program are great examples. We didn't need 5 years of research. We didn't need that to be followed by 3 years of government inquiry, a $100 million investment in designing programs and working out ways to deliver those to the community. We just needed someone who found a way of recognising something that people want to do and building on that in a really organic kind of way.
For sure.
Yeah.
To return to that question I asked earlier about, do you think it might be different for example, a male cohort? I've been ruminating on this, and I watched Parkrun, and I've tried to get a handle on, does this seem to be more, because it's not a competitive event, but people still get timed, and so and there's that sort of, some people are particularly at the front end are sort of pushing themselves a bit. I don't think it's male dominated. I actually think, once again, that it's very well represented by the female population. So, I'm almost leaning towards thinking the big thing about parkrun and events like this is, as we've seen in this study, it's that social connection piece. And in fact, I was interested. I was chatting with a friend of mine who he's part of another group. He said, "Oh, I'm part of a social group," and I said, "Oh, tell me." And it's called, I don't know if you've heard of this, Simon, because apparently it's worldwide now, the Tough Guy Book Club. Have you heard of this?
Actually, I have heard of this. I know almost nothing about it, but as soon as you said that name, I recognised it. Yeah.
And I said, "Tell me, I've got to hear about this." And so he said, "Yeah, well, we get together once a month, and we choose a title and we read it, and then we get together and we chat about it." And I've gone, okay, so where's the tough guy part come into all this? And pretty much he says, no, it's actually just really an excuse to create support group. And we intentionally pick topics that are about, positive manhood, if you like, and mental health support and dealing with life issues and how we negotiate this. He says, so the titles are intentionally chosen around those themes. But people just come there because it doesn't sound nerdy to come to a tough guy book club. So he said, and it's really fascinating who shows up to these and engage with literature, which is a positive thing, but gets to have these deep and meaningful conversations. And he said it's really quite a powerful thing, So I love this idea.
Absolutely. Let me tell you about something similar I do here in Madrid. So there's a guy who lives in our neighbourhood, actually. He's probably about my age, maybe a bit younger. He's German originally, but he's lived in Spain for many, many years now, and he enjoys playing padel, which we've talked about in the past before. And so he's set up this website, and he does he's got a day job, but he's a reasonably good padel player himself, and he gives lessons to beginners. And he also organises social padel on a Friday evening. So it's summer here right now. Of course, it's light till very late. So at about 8 o'clock on a Friday evening, we pay. I think it's like 15 euro a person or something. It's very inexpensive. We jump on a bike. Cycle for about half an hour down to the courts, and down this beautiful kind of riverside green corridor. We play social padel for an hour, which is nice because it's mixed. It's men and women, and sometimes we swap players partway through. Sometimes we don't. It's competitive without being like super over the top. Competitive. For example, last Friday, the team that I was playing on, we went to our set went out to 9 games to 7 before we declared it. So there is that measure of competition. Afterwards, we stay at the courts, have a drink together, and chat. There's usually somewhere between 8 and a dozen people. You meet new people. You learn about amazing things that other people do in their lives. A friend of ours came, actually, she's a former student of mine who happens to live here in Madrid, but she came and played last Friday, so it was lovely to catch up with her and find out about her next adventure. As a result of that, we're all going to go out for dinner later this week as well. So these things just, they give you, and then of course there's the beautiful kind of evening ride home along the river afterwards. So you get, I'm going to say, from something very simple like this and very straightforward, you kind of get 3.5 or 4 hours of just bliss, the pleasure of movement and activity and conversation and laughter and sunlight. Yeah, it's just amazing. And then, it continues to pay off through the week. So all those things that were named in that study, resilience, which of course is not an immediate effect. Resilience is something that takes time to build. Stress management and stress reduction, likewise, it's not immediate. It takes time to grow. I can absolutely imagine how an event like that leads both to the immediate pleasure that people experience and also these really extraordinary medium to longer term outcomes.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I think it really starts with some person that you just described saying, hey, let's get together, and do something like this. And what, one of the key takeaways from this study, and when I look at other dynamics like the Tough Guys book club or the park run, it just speaks to this insatiable need that we humans have to want to be together and to be connected. I just came back from China a few weeks ago and got to visit the Chinese Lifestyle Medicine Alliance and speak at a workshop there. And once again, you get up in the morning, I'd go for a run, and there were groups of people in the parks there doing their activities together. And it just, for me, you talk about your experience in Spain, and this is what's happening in Australia, and that's what it's like in China. World over, we humans have this desire to connect, and it inspires our best efforts. I always like to say that we need each other to be our best and do our best. And so I think, the takeaway from this, to wrap it up, is that lifestyle medicine, for optimal effectiveness, I think that trying to figure out how to build social structures, social engagement, social connection into, as a key pillar, if you like, that sort of is a springboard to do all these other things, and to be multimodal, but it's that relationship piece, that social connection piece, which tragically is really suffering in our world today. I think that bringing that back, and maybe the homework task for all of us and for people listening is that, what could you do? Could you be that person
absolutely.
who just invites a friend or a small group, or just creates that social wheel, so that people can start to get on it.
Yeah. The power of one is amazing, isn't it? Paul, the founder of Parkrun, was Paul Sinton Hewitt in the UK. The Tough Guy Book Club that we just talked about was actually begun in Australia by someone called Shay Layton.
Okay.
My friend Chris here in Madrid started Padel 4. And Di Westaway, of course, we've been talking about with her amazing Coastrek. All of these are the inspiration and often just the energy and commitment, at least at the start, of a single person.
Yes, yeah,
and have all grown into really extraordinary ways of people being able to belong, to give back, and to feel like they're squeezing every drop out of their lives that they possibly could.
Yeah. And you know what? On that call to action, can I finish with a short joke?
Of course.
Here's a joke. Here's a joke to reinforce that call to action. There's a guy who's taking a young lady out for the first time on this date. And he goes, he does everything right. He opens the door, all the rest of it, and then walks up he booked a fancy restaurant. They walk up to the entrance, and there's a bouncer there, security, who says, you can't go in because you don't have a tie on. And he's like, oh no. And he talks to the man. He says, oh, listen, this is my first date. I'm trying to impress. Please, can I get in there? No, the rule is no tie, no in. So he races back to the car, and he thought, maybe I've got a tie laying down the back of a seat, but he can't find anything. All he can find are these jumper leads, for your flat battery. So he thinks, do I go, outlandish red or conservative black? And he thinks, I'll go with the black. So he puts this jumper lead, does the full double Windsor knot, all right? So, and then he walks up to the security guard. These things are clanging away. Anyway, the security guy just looks at him and frowns, and he says, come on, please. And the security goes, no way. And he said, look, what is it? What constitutes a tie? And in the end, the security guard conceded. And this is what his words. He said, okay, I'm going to let you in, but I don't want you starting anything. But here's what I want to say is that to our listeners, start something. Maybe, as we said, you can be the catalyst for something that you don't know how big it could grow. So maybe a call to action and a takeaway, and perhaps in our homework assignment is, how could you be the catalyst for change? And it could just start with creating some sort of social connection to build on the other themes of lifestyle medicine as well. So let us know how you go. If you've got something that grows and becomes outstanding, we'd love to hear the story, even if it's on a small scale too. It's still making a difference.
Absolutely. Small, we love small scale. And if there's a lifestyle medicine question or topic you'd like us to explore on the podcast, let us know.
Lift is presented by Simon Matthews and Darren Morton. It's sponsored by the Lift Project and supported by Avondale University. Music provided by Pixabay. If you have a question or a topic you would like to hear more about, send us an email to podcast@theliftproject.global. The Lift Project. Lift your mood, lift your life.